Hey writers, you're listening to the Kobo ReWriting Life Podcast, where we highlight an episode from our backlist that will bring you insights and inspiration for growing your self-publishing business. I'm your host, Tara Kremen, Director of Kobo Writing Life. This week, I'm taking you time traveling and we're going all the way back to 2017 in this interview with ML Buchman. ML, or Matt, is a romance writer and is also known in the indie community for his work on estate planning for authors. Matt has written a book about it and given lots of talks at different conferences throughout the years. It's a subject that is as relevant now as it was back then when this was first recorded, and it's something that authors may not think about, and I wanted to resurface this chat and encourage you to think about what your legacy as an author really can be. So I hope you find it helpful.
Welcome to the Kobo Writing Life Podcast. I'm here with Matt Buchman, ML Buchman. Matt, welcome to the podcast.
Hello and hi. Thanks for having me.
So, Matt Buchman is a writer of military romantic suspense
and contemporary romance and a little thriller and science fiction and fantasy because I can't help myself.
You're just everywhere in that spectrum. But you also you've produced quite vigorously. How many books do you actually have out?
I'm up to 55 or 60 books now, and a similar number of short stories.
Okay.
So I have about 120 titles, and then I actually recently took my contemporary romance and made a suite version of all of them, so that's another 20 titles.
So say, you've taken the romance and you've removed the sex and the bad words, is that basically it? And
basically.
So it's the same book, but it's been targeted for that
the sweet and wholesome, clean and wholesome audience.
Oh, that is awesome. And how's that been working?
I just launched it, so I think I have 2 sales so far.
Okay.
But it's just a few weeks out.
And that basically, so when you're actually in the metadata for the less sweet, the stuff that actually allows them to be more actively romantic, and or say bad words, do you have metadata that says if you're looking for sweet and wholesome, there's a clean version for you?
Yeah, there's actually a clean and wholesome category that you can set things up.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I have it set in a secondary category, contemporary romance and.
Wow, because I kind of find it funny. In many ways, there's what we call the language police. That rape and murder and killing people and whatever is
That's
fine.
All fine. Yeah,
but just,
right.
You can't swear while you're killing someone.
Exactly. Exactly.
But again, that appeals to a certain demographic, and that's a huge demographic when you look at it.
Right. So that's why, as an experiment, courtesy of modern technology, it wasn't that hard. Wow. So we went through. We just read through every book and marked everything based on a list that we created.
Wow!
And cleaned all that out and took the sex scenes that I couldn't call sex scenes and pushed them back behind the door, so they still have it. It's just off screen.
Okay, fade to black.
Yeah.
Hold hands, stare in each other's eyes longingly, fade to black,
and
fill in the blanks yourself.
Exactly.
Okay, that's kind of fun.
And the fun thing was, of course, that I put a lot of emotion into those scenes, so I had to figure out how to pull the emotion that occurred in those scenes into the foreground,
right,
without bringing that scene with it. So it was a cool exercise, and I hope it takes off.
Oh, that's cool. So most of the fiction of yours that I've seen sort of appeals to that Suzanne Brockman audience.
My main thing is military romantic suspense, and that's 35 or 40 of my novel titles.
Okay, and I think my very first exposure to it was through one of your short stories that was published in Fiction River when I was the editor for Editor's Choice.
Yeah,
and that was it was sort of a backstory related to.
It's actually my very first short story was because an editor got sick of me saying I couldn't write short. I only write long.
Right.
So she said, "Okay, you're going to write me a short story for my Christmas Ghost anthology. You're going to be one of the named authors." And I said, "Hold it, I don't write paranormal either." She said, "I don't care. And you're going to put it in your Night Stalker world." So I ended up writing this charming story that Publishers Weekly said was one of the best in the anthology.
Wow.
And then for your anthology, for the Editor's Choice that came along, I wrote the sequel 2 years later.
Okay.
So it's the sequel to that very first story. So it was really fun to have that one plugged in that book and in the same anthology series,
which is kind of cool. So then people can say, "Hey, wait a second, I know this universe."
Exactly.
So does that short fiction help lead people to the greater series, the Night Stalker series?
Hugely, because it's all the little quarter round characters or side views or origin stories that come out of that main series.
Okay.
And at the back of each book, I pitch what I think would be here's the first chapter of the thing I think you'd like the best based on this story.
Okay.
So some have this flavor, some have that flavor, some are in another series. And it's a real fun way for me also to explore. I can go in and I can try something and go, oh, like I just realized that 5 years ago is when I started launching my big romantic suspense series, The Night Stalkers.
Right.
I never wrote the weddings. So I've
wow.
started a whole new series exactly 5 years later in time.
Okay.
I'm doing a 5-year retrospective of here's the wedding scenes from each book, and I'm going to spend the next 4 years releasing them in sync with 5 years after the original release to refresh those old titles.
Oh, that's exciting.
So it's a way to play with it.
That's neat. Now, the other thing that you've done I think is unique and exciting is for your fans, so sign up to your newsletter, you are writing unique stories that you give to them?
I actually do it for the general public. It is free to everybody.
Oh, on your website?
It's on my website. I post it for free for 1 week, and anybody can read it, but they're sitting in my environment on my website reading it.
Okay.
And then and they're for sale at the same time.
Okay, so I can go to your website, read it for free, but then I can buy it on Kobo and some of the other retailers.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I have fans who are so rabid that because it has to go up on the retailers the night before, they'll actually buy it the night before rather than wait for me to post it for free.
And that into it that they can't
they're that
wait.
into it. If I post it late, I start getting emails complaining because they want to go to work, but they won't go to work till after they've read my free short story on the 14th.
Okay.
Because it's the 14th of every month. And if there's a glitch in my upload, they get very upset.
Wow.
And then after a week, I take it down and it stays on sale. And I say, if you miss the story, if you sign up for my newsletter so that you won't miss it again.
And you'll be notified when it...
And it's gotten me a lot of traffic. It's a huge amount of my sales.
Wow. And so that story's free for a limited time period. And then afterwards, if they miss that free window that you've given them, which is great because then people can just enjoy your stuff and you're just giving to the world.
And then once a year, I collect it into an anthology called The Ides of Matt.
Okay.
Which gets interstitial material of why I thought up each story or what I was interested trying to do in that story.
Okay. Well, the
and
director's
that as an annual anthology, and I now have those in sets as well.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Done it for over 4 years now.
So one of the
missed a month.
That is
yet.
That's wow, yet, as he says nervously, chewing his nails, sweat coming down his forehead. We're at Novelist Inc. here in Florida. We were hanging around last night talking to a whole bunch of other writers and just sharing stories and stuff. And then I got on to, I'd introduced you to some folks. And then somebody else at the table goes, oh yeah, as a diehard fan of M.L. Buchman, I can vouch for that. I read everything you ever write. And you had no idea that there was a fan sitting across the table.
No, it was the super fans always shock me because I went to Romance Writers of America last year and I brought a little catalog of, here are my 50 titles. And some fans said, oh, I've read everything you've ever written. I said, oh, really? And I pulled out the little catalog and I pulled it out and they went,
oh, I've read them all.
Excuse me.
So they've really sought out everything they can get from you.
Well, the next fan came up and said the same thing. I was like, oh, would you like to make sure, right? I learned a little bit about tact in between. And I put out the catalog and they went, yeah, though the science fiction was only okay because I don't really like science fiction, but I read it anyway because it's yours. It was like, okay.
Wow.
So
awesome.
I love those rabid fans because they're so passionate about the story that I'm trying to tell.
That's got to be a fulfilling moment. It's a surprising, fulfilling moment.
Yeah, it was a real shock.
Well, I mean, there's obviously M.L. Buchman fans out there just waiting to get your material in as many formats. Because I remember when Kobo Writing Life launched the ability to get books into Overdrive, you were one of the early beta users of that program.
Absolutely.
And immediately your sales took off in the library market.
60 libraries in the first 4 weeks, and you were calling me up going, hold it, we didn't even know the system was going to actually work yet.
Suddenly the libraries are buying it. Like, they must have been waiting for it.
Yeah.
Like, waiting for this, because they probably had customers come in and say, oh my God, when are you going to get M.L. Buchman?
And that's, well, I married a librarian, but I love libraries anyway. And so that's what I tell my fans. I say, I can't afford to get all your books, and it's like, because I am prolific.
Yes.
I said, please go ask your library for them.
Right, okay. And again, you're giving the fans a window every month that they don't have to spend a dime to read a new story from M.L. Buchman, which is awesome, because you're giving to the community and learning that even though you're giving so much, you're still selling like crazy. Those things are selling.
I know. I never thought that giving away stories for... A friend suggested, I put up a story for free and I'll sell as much as 10 or 15 copies. I sell 50, 100 copies while it's free.
Wow. People, I can't be bothered. I'm just going to buy it.
Just goes. And so I hit... Now, one of the tricks that I have is I figured out how to write a full romance, and not just a meet cute, but a full romance in under 10K.
Wow.
And so these are all 5 to 10K romances, and they just sell like mad.
So it's like,
and they're not super discounted. They're $2.99.
It's like an appetizer that fulfills you as a full meal.
Yeah.
So you can enjoy the taste, the flavor, but actually feel satisfied. And
yeah, I've never had a complaint on length. The only complaint I get is, I ended up loving the character. I wish I had more of their story.
Oh, that's cool. Awesome. Yeah. So this great success, 5 years basically since you've kind of gone all in with doing this massive.
Yeah, I've been writing for 25, but my full-time writing career has been over 5 now.
5 years, awesome. But one of the things, and this is critical for writers that I wanted to talk to you about, is I am about 3/4 of the way through this amazing book called Estate Planning for Authors, Your Final Letter, and Why You Need to Write It Now. Tell us why you put that book together.
The book actually came out of a year of research based on, I spoke to my wife and kid, and they've always known I only have one kid, so they know they're getting my estate when something happens to me. And in one conversation, I found out they were terrified of the moment that something does happen to me.
Yeah.
Because they had no idea how to deal with a big block of IP, how to manage that block of IP, what IP actually meant. And my wife's my half-time assistant, because I'm successful enough, I was able to retire her.
Right.
And so I started thinking through what I had to get it not only organized, but I had to communicate it in English. And what were the options of how to manage an estate, and how does money move? And so the will controls who gets what, but then what happens?
Okay.
And then the more I read about different estates, the more I saw the ways they were mismanaged or lost or thrown away, because it's such a mess that the heir who is off doing something else, suddenly, here I'm an engineer or I'm an artist or I'm a something, coming in, inheriting this estate and going, what is this stuff? They can't organize it, so they don't know its value, so they kind of throw it out.
Wow.
And here I've got, 120 titles that could support them for my life plus 70 years.
Yeah.
I better get it organized so that they have a chance of doing that.
Okay, that's cool. And you use actual examples from estates where things may not have gone in a favorable way.
And some that were handled spectacularly.
Okay.
And
I think you talked about Priscilla Presley. Doing a really good job.
Well, Elvis's estate was worth about $1 million when he died.
Right.
So he left $500,000 to Priscilla, which is very nice, his ex-wife by then, and left the rest of the estate to the kid. And Lisa Marie inherited $500,000 estate that was incurring about $600,000 a year in expenses.
Uh-oh. So I'm not good at math, but that doesn't sound good.
No. She was going to be bankrupt by the time she was 10.
Okay.
And Priscilla said, no, this isn't right. And she stepped in and fought court cases to get everything back from the colonel. If you go in and read the history, it's amazing. And she has turned it into a $400 million estate. So she took this basically bankrupt estate and turned it into this massive fortune. And I'm sure it was out of love for her kid, not out of love for her ex-husband.
Yeah.
And she was already wealthy. So it's not that she got additional benefit from this. She already had her own multi-million-dollar business.
Right.
But she said, I have to protect this legacy for my kid.
Okay.
And so I started looking at all these different lessons of how people had run an estate and who had done it, and came up with 6 different ways that somebody can manage their inherited IP.
Right.
And then I went through and I said, okay, now let's turn it into a letter. And so I wrote a letter, and it's a 14-page letter that I include in the book, of here's in English how to explain an IP-based estate to your heir.
Okay.
So they can figure out then, here are the 6 ways I can manage it. And oh, by the way, if you choose this option, just call this number, because this is my friend who can guide you through it. Because I have all those publishing contacts already.
Okay.
And so my idea is that you keep updating this letter maybe every quarter.
Okay, so...
And you just send it out to your heirs again. And they go...
Only to be opened upon my death?
No, I sat down with both of them.
Oh, you read it now?
I went through it line by line. I said, you understand each of these.
Okay.
And they went, oh my goodness, this is what we didn't get.
Okay.
So here's the roadmap of my options of how to manage your estate once I get it.
Okay.
So it's a handoff of knowledge about this complex world called the publishing industry, written in a form that a non-publishing industry person can get.
Right.
And that's my whole focus.
Because, I mean, let's be honest, you have contracts with publishers, you have contracts with retailers, you have relationships that you've curated.
I have reversion rights. I have ways to force reversion at 35 years.
Right.
I have I have cash streams. If a normal person dies, the cash stops moving.
Right.
You might have investments or a retirement fund, but basically the cash stops moving. If you're an author, the cash is in constant motion.
Right. From so many sources.
From audiobooks, from co-promotion deals over there, from, this special feature that you did on this distributor and all this stuff. And you also have money going out to, ads that you've committed to and promotions, and the money is just terrifying how fast it's moving.
And
so again, I break that down in the book and said, okay, here's each of my cash streams, and that's in my final letter.
Okay.
Here's how to find them.
Okay.
Here's where I file my contracts.
Okay.
I even have a spreadsheet that I include to organize your IP, and I found a way to, in a single line, explain this title was released here with this ISBN, and it's loaded in these places, or it has a contract that's filed here.
Right.
And it's all in a single line. So they can sit there and hand this information to a publisher assistant that they hire, who can then go, oh, I see how it's all laid out, and they can then start helping manage the estate.
Okay, that's cool. Now, a mutual friend of ours, Kevin J. Anderson, has basically worked really, really well with the estates of the Herbert estate, for example, the family, to help them, because he understands publishing, and he writes with Brian, Frank Herbert's son. But I think he did some assistance and helped them ensure that Frank Herbert's legacy was not left, because somebody who knew publishing could step in. But not everyone has a friend like Kevin.
Right. So, and he does it for a number of estates.
Yeah.
But also, what happens when Kevin dies?
Yes.
And I'm actually going to be seeing him in about 2 weeks, and I'm going to beat him up about, have you written a final letter to somebody about all the pieces that are in your head?
Although, fortunately, Rebecca's also in the publishing industry, so she at least understands that works.
Yeah, as long as they don't go together, they're okay.
That's right.
But has he written something in English that he can then pass on, so that great work that he's doing, helping these estates come back to life or preserving them, continue on?
Right.
And
that's intriguing. So I keep thinking, and again, because I write horror and thrillers, and I'm always thinking about the dark side. So I write this beautiful letter, I give it to my heirs, and then my son says, hey, now I have access to his fortune, I'm going to kill him, and I'm going to take over all of his publishing. No, you know what I mean? I'm thinking there's some sort of mystery plot here.
If you don't go to quite that dark,
okay.
I still control all my IP.
Okay.
I still own my publishing corporation.
Right.
So my heirs, having no rights, they have no access to this information. What they have is they have an understanding now of where the information is if something happens to me.
Oh, and they can't get the information.
Because the will controls who gets what. The final letter is just, here's a set of suggestions on what you can do.
Okay. And so it's not your passwords to every retailer, so I can log in and change the banking account.
And I talk about this in the book, is how much do you trust your heir?
Yeah.
So do I give my kid all the passwords? Yes.
Yeah.
Because I absolutely trust her. If she hooks up with somebody I don't trust, I may change all my passwords.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
But then I had a story, because once I started researching this, I put it out on some lists of friends and said, do you have any stories I need to know about here?
Right.
And somebody, and I include this in the book, her father had a big estate,
right,
and the family lawyer was supposed to be the trustee. The family lawyer died, and then the father died, in that order.
Oh, no.
So the second lawyer in the firm took over, right? He was a partner in a firm, so the second partner took over being the trustee. And he looked at the size of the estate, and he said, okay, and he signed it all over to his own name and left the country.
Oh.
And the family was left with nothing.
Wow.
So there's a question of who do you trust? And, the person you leave it to, is that the right person to leave it to? And especially when you get into siblings, and the siblings start to war. And so I talk about that, not from my experience, but from what I've read.
Right.
You need to watch for this. You need to think about this possibility, this dark side of twist. Because it's very real.
Yeah,
it really happens, and you get estates that end up in limbo for decades.
Right, because there's no...
Or if you don't have a will. I mean, half of Americans don't have wills at all.
It's frightening.
And then if you have a will, does it even address IP? And so, okay, let's get past that hurdle. So for me, in my book, that's one page.
Okay.
Because then I'm going on to how do you communicate this to someone you trust.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
That's great. So everyone obviously should read this book.
Yes.
Yes.
First of all, yes.
It's available in audiobook. It's available in print. It's available in ebook.
Yes.
Okay.
All three formats, and it's also available as a teachable course if you want to hear me lecture, and then I give you a free ebook at the end of it.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's the lecture I'll actually be presenting tomorrow
at
here
NINC.
For the professional writers at NINC.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And the other thing I tried to do when writing it is, this works for anybody who has IP. If you're an artist, a sculptor, if you have trademark because you did an original patent, if you need to have this kind of a letter in place so that your heir can figure out what the heck they've just gotten and what to do with it.
Because it's not like a lump of money that's sitting in a safe and they go, yay, now I have all this.
Yeah,
no, it's the ability to generate further money and to continue this.
Which is what I love about this career is I'm providing for, if they handle it correctly, I'm providing for my daughter's kids.
Which is kind of awesome.
It's awesome.
So, because people are listening to this podcast today, whatever day today is for them in the future, and they don't yet have the book, which they're going to go out and purchase or get they're really, really smart. We have very smart listeners. But what do they do right now? What do I do when I finish recording this podcast? What's the first thing I need to do?
The first thing you do is you turn to the section at the back of the book called Getting Organized.
Okay.
And I set out a 9-step plan for here's what you need to do to get organized. You got to get the will. That's your number one.
Okay.
You got to get a will.
Right.
Because there are states that will take half of the estate just for having to deal with an intestate estate.
Right.
Because having to deal with something where there's no will and then all the heirs are fighting to become the heir.
Right.
But then I say, take the rough draft of the final letter that I give you and sit down with your heir right away, even though it's totally incomplete, so that you can find out what their questions are, what they don't understand about your estate. And that'll help you start refining the letter. And then you start to organize things. You start to... And it took me a year to go through and build all this. And I even talk about trusts, and because I'm moving my corporation into a trust to control my IP in a neat, civilized manner that's, shall we say, as tax-friendly as possible, rather than tax avoidance as possible.
Yes.
And what are those steps? And approach them one at a time and bring your heirs along for the ride with you. So I have you touch base with your heirs like 3 or 4 times as you refine this.
Okay.
Because it's an instruction set.
Okay.
Actually, no, it specifically shouldn't be an instruction set. It should be a guidance of suggestions, because you don't want to contradict the will.
Yes.
If it's an instruction, you're contradicting the will and you're asking for lawsuits.
Okay. All right.
But I actually lay that out in the book.
Okay.
Yes. But get the will in place. That's the number one.
Well, that's interesting, and so it's funny. The concept when I first heard about it was the thought was, no, this is something that you do, and then they open it up and they know about it only after you're dead. But this is not the case. It's a dynamic, living, breathing thing that you need to engage them with now, so they can ask the questions because you're here to answer them,
right?
As opposed to saying, "What the heck did Dad mean
right.
when he said this?"
Yeah.
Okay, that's really cool.
And it's very easy to control some of these things. Like I have the master password file.
Right.
Well, all you have to do is not give out your master password file, in your will or on your death is released, here's how to find the master password file.
Right. Okay.
But keep it updated because there are all sorts of funny laws. For example, you have no right to your predecessor's email account.
Right.
So when I die, my email account technically turns off. Now, how do you reset a password? You say, please send a new copy to my email. If they can't get access to the email, or I have friends who use password generators, Dashlane and all those. They're great, except what happens when you don't have the password to get into Dashlane?
Right. Or they cease to exist.
Yeah, so you have to think of solutions to these questions, or your heir is going to be faced with like a hoarder's mess.
Right.
Where they go in and everything is mounds of paper. I had a friend who spent a month trying to find the valid will. He knew it was there because he'd been a witness on it. But it took him a month to find it among the hoarder's paperwork, because he had it in 4-foot and 8-foot stacks all around his house.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing your insights and wisdoms. Where can our listeners find ML Buchman?
Well, first place to find me is at a website called ML Buchman, and that's BUCHMAN.com. And I'm also on Kobo and all those other distributors that we won't mention. But I'm distributed wide. I'm available everywhere, all my titles.
That's fantastic.
And Facebook, it's ML Buchman, and Twitter, it's ML Buchman. I try to be consistent.
That's awesome. Yeah, consistently with the name that you actually use for your writer name as well. That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and wisdom.
Oh, thanks for having me aboard.
Thank you for listening to the Kobo ReWriting Life podcast. If you're enjoying this podcast, please be sure to rate, review, and subscribe. It really helps us out. And follow us on socials. We are at Kobo Writing Life on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky. This episode was hosted by Mark Lefebvre with production by Terrence Abrahams. Editing is provided by Kelly Robotham, and our theme music was composed by Tearjerker. If you're ready to start your publishing journey, sign up today at kobo.com/writinglife. Until next time, happy writing!